Did I say it right? Tell me how I'm supposed to say your name. Welcome to the Insiders, Audio Noughts, Legends, Internet Slothers, Car Drivers, House Cleaners, um, Lawn Mowers, Walkers, and anyone who's got earphones on and who's sick of life and have decided to listen to me and Matthew. We absolutely salute you. Thank you. Love you. Follow us on Instagram and you'll become part of the revolution. We got a fucking sick episode tonight. We just spoke to Gearoid Mcdaid, which is leading the World Slab Fest Festival. It's like you've this. We're not talking about someone who's just like fucking going down to his local beachy in the afternoon and hoping to do a few rios. We're talking to someone who's like got 6 to 25 foot slabs at his fingertips and is putting his life on the line. What do you think about that, Matthew?
Yeah, I think it's sick. I think it's quite funny how he kind of almost like puts his middle finger up to your normal kind of 3 foot um like nice mellow kind of rolling little point break, and he's like, what's that about? He doesn't have much time for that, which is fair
But
play
yeah,
to him because
but you know he does surf really good and love little waves. So
yeah, I've seen him in a few comps and he does real good, like in a grovel fest. He still, I mean, he froths. You can tell he froths from when we spoke to him. I also just wanted to add, you thanked all the house cleaners, the lawn mowers, the internet dwellers.
who else, mate?
The one-footed barrel madman from Portugal. My good friend Jonathan Weaver at DB Journey told me this story about they surfed somewhere in Portugal. I won't name where, and it was big on Saturday. And he basically saw this guy just getting absolutely tubed off his head. And then afterwards, after the surf, and he came out and he found out he's got 1 foot. And he was doing it all with 1 foot.
Whoa, legend.
So, I wanted to just shout out the 1 footed barrel chasing madman. But yeah, G-Man, I'm not even going to be close to pronouncing his name.
Go
So
ahead.
G-Man, I will call him, I mean, it's sick to chat to. We followed him for a long time. I went through it earlier and like the amount of clips of his that me and you have sent backwards and forwards to each other. Um, it was really sick to get him on. Episode 99, Daz, as well.
Ooh, that's pretty
Um,
cool. That's leading us into the big 100. Like, so I did say that and allude to it in our chat and that you'll hear. But I met him when he was like must have been 12 or 13, and he'd come in at to Euroglass, and I couldn't understand him, and I went out and I said to Christian, "There's some I don't know, I think he's German or Portuguese guy." I would have said, but like I couldn't understand him. And then when I realized he was Irish, and you actually there is a switch if you've met Irish people before, and you just got to switch. You just got to turn the Irish receptors on, and then
yeah,
you're right. My older brother told me a famous story about him and his wife traveled Europe in '92. That was long before you were born, poor Matthew, probably.
I was 2 years old.
Okay, so they get in this taxi to go home, and they were saying like, "Can you take us to um, West End camping, please?" And the taxi driver was just going, "I I can't understand you. What? Wait?" And they were there. They were like literally. It was like a 5 minute like battle until my brother's just gone. All right, West End camping.
Uh,
That was Scottish, actually,
Well,
what I
Scottish,
pulled off
but
then. Yeah, so and that was how he. And then the guy went, "Why didn't you just say that to start with?"
it would have been a great story if they were in Scotland as well.
Ah, I can't
Yeah,
tell.
no,
Can't
it's
tell.
sick. Like the Irish have just got the sickest crack. Like you go over there, and, like
They're the funnest people in the
they're
world, man.
and they're super like humble and a bit like when we spoke to Noah. Honestly, the Noah episode stuck with me quite a lot about how just little things like it doesn't your board doesn't have to be brand new every time you surf. You don't have to have, as long as you've got a decent board and a decent wetsuit and a wave, just like be thankful almost and stuff. And G-Man was similar. Like, he's the same as
Just to
Noah.
interrupt the
He's
episode
got
here,
no
don't
real
forget
desire to, like,
simple
if he didn't
wetsuits,
have to
the best in the
travel,
game.
or if he
If you
couldn't
need more
travel, I
information
don't
on
think
them,
like he'd
drop us a
care. I
DM
think
to our
he's
Instagram,
exactly
and
where he
even if you
wants
want
to
a
be,
discount code,
which I
ask
think is
us
so
nicely, and we'll
sick.
give you one. Back
This
to it.
this friend I mentioned to Gearoid, who I met up there, Josh, he works at Bundoran Surf. So I know Pete, who's part owner of Bundoran Surf, quite well. Over the years, he used to come down to Euroglass, and we met, and we're friends. And Josh told me about this day at Mullaboor, like, you've got guys that have been training, they've been doing all this stuff, they got the hell boards and all this stuff. And he's told me Pete's just gone there, I think, between dropping the kids at school or after work before he's got the kids, just pulls up, pulls an old wetsuit on, gets it on, paddles straight out, no training, takes off like on the wave of the day, gets probably better barrel than any 99% of the surfing world's ever had in their life, just in the afternoon, and then come in.
Just as casual as that.
Hey, just before we get to speak to GMAC, as Margaret River just started yesterday, Matt. The girls have run. This is like more of an introduction than a recap of the final. What do you think about, like, at least that's a good wave zone for once that we're in now after a bit of a bad run.
Yeah. Straight away, Ethan Ewing has no right to do what he done to that wave.
9.5, 9.5, huh?
Honestly, that was vicious, like absolutely vicious. It was some of the sickest surfing, like from Ethan. I was just honestly, like, literally since John had that year at Margaret's, I think that might be like the last time where I was just like a bit blown away by like what he was doing on that rail. What it was the sickest, like, for the men's first round.
That
I
was
think
pretty good surf,
it was sick, and every heat was like 14 points played, 13 points played, 12 points, except for John John. John John had a bit
except
of
for
a
John John's both heats.
yeah,
And
John
even in
John
his second heat, if you look at the scores, he only got through by
straight through,
0.75. Scrape
straight through.
through.
But I think that might be ominous, because how many times has
Mm,
John John first round got like 19 and second round got like 19 and then quarterfinals lost?
mm.
Maybe,
Maybe it's
maybe,
better like this. I bet you it's better.
but some sick. Gabby was sick. Italo was sick. Um, I felt really sorry for Reef Hazelwood as well, actually, because he was like a make away from probably landing a pretty sick air going left.
A few guys went left and actually looked good. The left
Yeah,
looked good. It shows you actually that left's
yeah,
really a good wave. It's just at that extreme upper echelon of level, it doesn't have that weird critical end,
yeah. Just
which
it's
is
just
what
a bit soft. But
which
how
is
good was
good for the
Sally?
rest of us. Oh, Sally Fitz just
Oh,
smashed it.
just
She's unreal, isn't she?
so clutch.
She if like, she might not qualify here, and people are saying, will she do the Changers again? It wouldn't surprise me one bit if she goes back on the Changers and wins it, because she's just,
Yeah,
they could do a James Bond film about her, couldn't they? Never Say Die.
they could. I mean, I was real critical the year she fell off. So not last year, the year before. I was really, really critical when we would first start doing this. And then, but I actually think she's surfing better than I've seen her surfing in a long time.
I
She's,
think she is too.
I think she's just had some, like, she lost in Bell at Bells. She lost, and I think her again. She lost, and she had like two sevens, and the
And she
person,
was ripping.
yeah, and again, like, I'm glad she made it through this heat, and hopefully she goes deep, because I actually think she's been surfing better this year. So, um,
I think there's just I think like she's in the same league of Kelly as one of those. Like, I've already said this on previous podcasts, where like she could have been like a Olympic athlete, not necessarily
Yeah, yeah,
Olympic
yeah.
medalist in running. And I think she was also really, really, really good at soccer. And I think there's some people that they just can't live unless they're competing. And I think she's one of them. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that you'll most probably see Sally at like, some sort of senior Olympics when she's 75 doing it like a 4 minute mile.
It's funny with her as well, is with Sally doing the Challenger series, it's completely different because she is one of the surfers who she's got so many non-endemic sponsors. She's sweet as a nut. She's got a lot of money. Like,
Oh, she's all right, Sally. She's in
so
Australia too, man. There's Australian money going in there.
she can do
She's
she can do changers without having to, like, she's not worried about her flights and where she's staying. She's whereas when we spoke to like Lobby, or when we spoken to like Maxime Houssain and places, people like that, they actually were like, you know, oh, you book places where you need to share accommodation and you need to try and get the cheaper flights or get out of there early or get there late and stuff. So she's doing it on a different program to a lot of people as well.
she's not sharing accommodation, mate. I know from back in the day at the Roxy thing, she had to have her own special room, if not in a different house, because she didn't want to be with the competitors.
Yeah, Sally's gonna be fine. But yeah, I think the start of Margaret's is looking good, and the forecast looks really good, like coming up. Couple maybe a couple of days off, and then it gets good towards the end of the period. So could be sick, but
Uh, Hey, on the video front, ship's turns.
far out. Like,
Is so I did say this to you, and I thought the same thing about Fiji. It's better than watching. It might not be better than watching the quarterfinals, semis, and final at let's say Cloudbreak, Tahiti, J Bay, Pipe. If it's pumping, but it's nearly better than anything else you'll ever see in the competitive realm, isn't it?
yeah, it's I think it depends how you consume it for sure as well. But watching it, I've got a new favorite. Like Laura Enever's vlogs are now up there with my favorite vlogs. Maybe better than, because Nathan Florence has gone a bit long on his. So sometimes I've got like, I like them when they're like not that long. And Laura's done a really, really good like,
She's only done two. She's smashing it, isn't
I
she?
don't know. And how mental is Summer Longbottom and Dylan
Uh,
Longbottom? Right. So Dylan Longbottom, this is the mad thing. Could you imagine towing your kid into that wave? Like, let alone surfing it yourself. You're the one towing your kid in.
he's doing this less than a year after being vac'd out to a hospital with a
Yeah.
punctured lung.
Well, also after that shipstern swell, him and Summer went out to another wave, and like second or third wave, she got a wipeout, got smashed in the head with the toe board and had to be taken out and stuff.
And
And then
she's all right.
yeah, she's sweet. Like 3 days later, she was out surfing somewhere, another slab. Like, she's 21 as well, so she's on the program.
Another serious honourable mention to Laurie Towner, who in that video I just still think he's top 10 in the world in technique in serious waves, where other people look like you wonder if they're going to make it. I just think nearly every time you watch Laurie go down the face of a wave, it looks like it's the opposite. You think,
Was
how
it
can he not make it?
was it him who was it Laurie who gets called in, and then it's just an unmakeable wave, and he comes up and his board snapped in three places? Was it? I
No,
think.
no, I don't think so. But there's
Oh,
another there's
coming.
another high performer as well as Kip Cuddy,
Yeah,
who incredible name to start with.
sounds like an American.
He's a friend of this friend of mine as well, who I was talking about that went to Fiji, and like there's someone who's just like made a name for himself on basically surfing waves that no one else wants to surf, but making them look like, which obviously they are, like the most exciting and fun thing in the world to do.
Yeah, yeah. It's and even like Laura, like when I watched the Laura thing, and that she's like, She goes and gets one, gets a hell wipeout, comes up laughing and stuff. And I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, because like I paddled out here Saturday and it was like maybe 4 foot at best. And I took a whole set on the head. And afterwards, I wanted to come home and just like sit in a cold shower and cry. um, but like, I just don't
That's
really.
that's a heavy wave she gets smacked on, isn't it? And then she
Proper,
goes
yeah.
back out.
Yeah, she's
Even though
got.
she got tied into them all, and I'm not saying that that doesn't make them serious. I wonder how those guys in the lineup feel about that, or they're all cool with it. They didn't look really like they were paddleable waves, did they?
No, I reckon they're cool with it because they're not bringing that big of a theme. But because she's rocking up with Dylan Longbottom, like you kind of will be all right. But yeah, I don't think anyone was paddling it, or it didn't look like a lot of people were paddling it. So fair play to them. Sickest vlogs, 100% watch it, everybody.
So
Um,
watch that, everyone, and let's not ramble on too much because I honestly think that was one of my favorite chats we've ever had in our 99 podcast history with Gearoid.
yeah, me too.
Gearoid,
So
you legend.
this is us chatting with G-Man. Enjoy it. Follow us, follow him, and we'll be back episode 100 real
It's
soon.
going to be a big one. Gearoid, welcome.
What's the crack? Aye.
Hey, did I say it right? Tell me how I'm supposed to say your name.
Garage.
Gearoid.
Well,
That's right.
whatever. Whatever's easiest.
It's nearly Gary. It's nearly Gary. If you went to Australia, you'd just have to say Gary, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Pretty much get called every different version of it, so I'm used to it.
What's the
What?
worst someone's ever done?
Oh, I don't know. There's been some bad ones. Couple of the boys I used to travel with from France when we were younger, they used to call me some mad things because they couldn't say it.
Hey, what's that? What's that you're drinking?
Cup of decaf coffee.
I'm on a glass of white wine. I'm testing it from my cafe.
Oh, epic! You're definitely on the better buzz than I am.
So welcome to the Insiders, Geroid. What I told Matt I was getting you on, and I told you last time I saw you. I was trying to do the calculations, but I know it was in the new factory when I met you, and you were Quicksilver. So that was like it must have been like 2000, even the first year, 2011 or 12. So
Uh, I reckon it was when I reckon like 13. I was 13, so yeah, like 13 years ago, 14 years ago, maybe.
yeah. That would have been it. That would have been like 13 years ago. So at the time you were Quicksilver. So when did you start surfing?
So I started surfing kind of when I was 10 years old properly. Like my dad kind of got me into it the whole time. Like he'd bring me out the odd day during the summer when we were super young and all that. But kind of from 10 years old onwards, then I like figured out that I really liked it and started doing it every day during the summer, every day after school, or just every weekend that there was possible. So kind of from 10 onwards, it was something I did it as much as I could.
And like you would have been in full 4-3, maybe even booties in summer back then as a little kid, wouldn't you?
Summertime, nah. Summertime here, you still get away with wearing a 3-2. It gets pretty warm in the summer. Like
Okay.
it's not too bad. Like now, summertime, I wear like a 2 mil short arm quite a lot on like a hot day in summer here. So there's usually about 1 week in the summer it gets that warm, but yeah, it's not too bad.
G-Man, so you where without blowing up spot names and stuff, whereabouts are we talking? And are you still in the same place now as well?
So yeah, I grew up. My parents lived in Sligo town, and that's where I grew up. In Sligo town my whole life. I never moved anywhere else, and now I've only just moved out to Strandhill, which is like the local beach break where I grew up surfing and had to drive out to every day.
Yeah.
Um, So that's kind of where I live now, and yeah, it's great being able to finally living beside the beach. But I mean, it's fun down here during the summer all the time. But yeah, then I end up having to drive to Bundoran every single day when it's pumping anyway.
How far is that then by car?
Bundoran, with no traffic, you're talking like 30 minutes. But some days then, if there's a bit of traffic, 45. But it's grand. It's not too bad.
I nearly went there. We had friends. My wife had her best friend that was living, I want to say, is it Ballina?
Ballina, yeah,
Yeah, and I spent like six, and then we didn't end up going in the end. I forget what happened, but it was heavy because we had to cancel last minute. And I spent like, you know, it's like if you're going on a surf trip, so long looking. It's easky rights and lefts, isn't it?
yeah. Eastleigh wouldn't be too far from Ballina there. Like it's only 20 minutes up the road from Ballina, so that's pretty fun. There's a couple other good ways around there, but Eastleigh right and left wouldn't be my two favorite ways. But there's a couple other ways close by that are pretty fun.
But for like even an average surfer, easky rights and lefts, they're still pretty good, aren't they? Or is it just that the other ones that much better, or are they actually just picturesque and not that good?
Like Eastleigh right and left are like super fun, like kind of mellow point breaks. Like they're just like a mellow right and a mellow left, and like big channels, easy to get in and out. So like for a lot of people, they're like amazing, but there's just so many other better ways we have in Ireland that I just very rarely go to them.
Even Bundoran Peak comes into that category, doesn't it? Because I'm friends, you know, Josh from Bundoran Surf.
Yeah, I know Josh well. Yeah, we were surfing together there last week, actually. Yeah.
And when I was there, I was gutted. I had a shoulder injury and I couldn't surf that year. I went up there with Euroglass, and Josh was like, "Man, we don't even surf that wave." And I was,
The peak is a mental wave. Like I don't know. I've traveled all around the world, and I don't know if I've seen a place that has as a defined peak and breaks the exact same every single time. Like it's the most defined wave I've ever surfed, I reckon. And you pretty much can go surf it if it's 2 foot howling onshore to like 6 foot howling onshore and then pumping offshore. It breaks the same pretty much all the time. So it's I don't know if there's anywhere else as good as it, to be honest, if it's honest day.
That's sick though. Is where yeah, but what style of wave are you looking for when you go? Because obviously in Ireland you get like everything.
Yeah, that's it. Like here we have everything, and like I like to be able to surf everything. Like the beach break down here in Strandhill gets fun banks and like pretty rippable and stuff. But depends on the day. I mean, I'm always just looking to go surf every day, no matter what. Really, like if it's some kind of mellow point to just go do turns or a beach break to like try and get ready for comps, or if it's 8 foot slabs, I kind of like want to be able to go do everything. But obviously, you're looking out for those classic days where it is 6 to 8 foot and offshore, and looking for a couple of those big slabs up in Bundoran or out at Molly and stuff. So yeah, depends on the day and how the swells are going.
so
Yeah.
what age were you then, for example? And like, so we don't give names away, when you decided to go from, and I've seen all those waves and know all their names, from when you went to your little fun easky rights and lefts, and then you would have gone up to the one that starts with a P, which I'll call Hell Point Bingen slab left, to the next biggest left, which is like Hell slab fucking in the middle of that bay left double slab, to to T-Rex left Hell slab.
The Molly.
Yeah, well, we don't need to keep Molly a secret because it's like.
Yeah, Molly's not much of a secret, is it?
So did you go like step across a couple of years, or was that just let's just do them all at once?
It was definitely like a stepping stone thing, and that's kind of like the good thing about here is you have those kind of stepping stones. Like obviously I grew up just surfing the local beach breaks like every kid does, and then there's like a kind of mellow reef that I moved on to, and then moved on to the peak in Bundoran, which is like it's got a good bit of power in it. So like super young to get a feel of surfing reef breaks and stuff, and like trying to get little barrels and stuff. It's pretty good for that. And then yeah, there's like a couple of other slabs that like are pretty easy comparison to the other ones. So like they're just really good to like get your technique of how to take off on a super slabby wave and all that. And yeah, there's literally like a perfect stepping stones of each different wave, pretty close to each other, that lead up to Molly pretty much. And yeah, really like surfing Molly for me is only really started in the last like 5 years, I'd say. Like I was always pretty focused on like doing comps and all that, but yeah, kind of last 5 6 years, I just kind of got put into it. A few of the boys brought me out on a ski once or twice, and kind of started paddling it and started getting more comfortable out there. And even that takes so much time, just going out on the smaller days and getting more comfortable every time you go out. And yeah, I suppose now it's the main thing we're looking for is those massive days at Molly to try and score them.
Yeah.
Was you sorry, Matt, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about you surfing Molly, am I right in thinking that Snapped 5 has some waves of you surfing Molly in it, or it's going to be in it potentially?
Oh, I don't know. I wish.
I've
I
heard
don't.
rumors.
Oh well, I don't. I haven't heard about them anyway.
Have you not? I've heard rumors. There's one where there was one day like last winter. I think it was like maybe just a bit before Lucas came over, and I think you might have been surfing with Connor, and you got an absolute hell one, like mental one out there. And I'm sure like someone said it's going to be in Snaps 5.
I had talked to the boys at Snap Five about trying to get a section in it because they shared one or two of my waves, and yeah, I was like, oh, that be pretty cool if you put a little cold water part together, and I'd put a section in it, and they were like kind of keen. He was like, oh, maybe we'll try and get a couple of the boys over, like the boys that are out, the main guys that are in it, to try and get over
Yeah.
and do a trip here and surf with them and stuff. So yeah, I don't know if those rumors are true or not,
Uh,
but
we'll make it happen.
it'd be a pretty sick surprise.
Yeah.
Hey, so was the first time you surfed it, were you paddling or towing?
The first time I caught a wave, I was paddling. Yeah, I paddled into my first ever one out there, and I remember it was like not that big of a day, like super glassy. Like I've never seen it as glassy as that since. Like and like yeah, like Noah, Connor, everyone was out there like getting bombs, and I remember just like scratching into one wave, and I still have like a photo of it, and it's like probably the smallest wave anyone's ever caught at Molly, but it
So
was
is that what's that? 6 to 10 foot small.
yeah, like it kind of doesn't really break under 10 foot really. Like
Mm.
you'd be doing well to get a wave under 10 foot out there. So, but like kind of since that, it's just been like pushing myself a little bit more and more every time. So like it's been good, and even on paddle days, like there's still a lot more that I want to be able to do out there and get bigger and better ones than I've gotten already. There's definitely so much more that there's possible to get out there on those paddle days, I think. But yeah, this year we had definitely the biggest tow day I've ever been out on. Kind of there in like November. It was crazy. It was massive. There was a few lads paddling like on the smaller ones, but there was a couple of the tall ones that we were getting that yeah, they felt pretty massive.
How did you sleep after that day? I saw that's the one with where Connor's got the wave, I think, in that edit he just put on Stub, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, there's a couple of days from that.
Do you have trouble sleeping after that, or you just like the next day when you wake up, do you just like think like holy fuck, what happened sort of thing?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Like you come home and you're just buzzing. Like a lot of the times after sessions like that, like it's pretty easy to end up in the pub having some pints with the lads because
Oh, sure.
everybody's pretty frothing, and that definitely helps you sleep. But yeah, if like you just come home, you're buzzing, and yeah, it's definitely hard to sleep, and the adrenaline doesn't really stop going through you until the next day. Pretty much, it's definitely pretty mad.
And is that one of the pubs that you would have maybe ended up with Tom Curren in? Would you?
That was yeah, that was a pretty that pub we were in was pretty sick. It's like it's like the next town over from Bundoran and Ballyshannon, and like it's it was a weird pub. Like I've never been in it before, and when Noah just called us and was like, "Oh, this pub that never opens. Like it opens once a month. Is open tonight if you guys want to come." And we went, just had a couple of pints the first night, and it was super chill, like the most old school pub you've ever seen. And then like the guy who owned it was there, and we made friends with him, and then we like rang him to like just see if we could like do that gig that we had with Tom. And
Yeah,
it started out as a kind of fun thing, and like we were like, oh yeah, we'll do it, and just for the movie that we played a gig, like Tom played a gig, and thought it was just going to be a bit of fun, and ended up just being like the biggest party of the year because so many people were frothing on it to come. And yeah, turned out from starting as a bit of fun, as a joke kind of, to a massive night out.
yeah. Probably with that, like with it opening once a month, they probably took more money in one night than they have like in a year. But
Yeah, that night they did for sure. I don't think the countertop ever didn't have 10 pints of Guinness ready to go on it. Like
yeah. And how was like surfing with him and like surfing with people? Like obviously you've surfed with some pretty like profile people, high profile people and stuff, but Tom Curren is like up there for a lot of people as, you know, best ever kind of argument. How was it just surfing with him?
yeah, for sure. It was like a pretty different experience. Obviously, Tom was like a bit before my time of when I started surfing, even, but obviously I knew everything about him, and I'd watched all his videos as when I was super young growing up because my dad would have been into it and watched them. And like having someone like that on the trip is mad because he's been doing it so long. You just don't know how he's going to keep the froth on these trips. So we like as he was coming, you didn't know how it was going to be, but it was pretty mad how frothing he still is to go surfing. He's just like always keen to go. He was like, it was 2 foot, how long shore he'd be the first one to get everybody psyched up to go surfing. So it
Yeah.
was definitely a crazy experience, and it was super cool having someone like him over here.
He's a unique character, huh? That you would have had some interesting
Yeah.
conversations or interesting non-conversations.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely some interesting moments and some funny moments, but yeah, he's a legend, and like yeah, just one of the nicest guys. And he's a bit quiet before you get to know him, but he definitely opens up to you after a bit, after you've spent a couple of days with him. And yeah, he's super cool.
Hey, so that was a question I had, and this is probably a big question. You probably need a jug of Armagnac next year for this one. Who then is the biggest hellman that you've seen there and surfed with at either Hell Death Slab 2 or Mully? Like, is Nate Florence the pinnacle?
I think Nate like was probably the best I've ever seen out here. Like there's heaps of guys come over every year, and like there's the one wave, there's Molly obviously, and everyone get good ones at Molly, and like a lot of the top guys that come over, they do get their good waves at Molly. But there's another wave that we were all surfing one day, and like everybody was struggling. Like I made one wave all day, Noah made one wave all day, and like there was a lot of Aussie pros over. There was a lot of pros, like some of the best like heavy wave surfers in the world were out there, and like nobody was making waves. But Nathan was just like backside air dropping into them and just like making 90% of his waves. It was like compared to anybody else I've seen, he was next level pretty much.
And he was going backside, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was going backside, and like we were all front side, and we were going head over heels, nose diving, like everything. It was mental. Yeah, so like him for sure, coming from Hawaii especially, and just coming from boardies straight into a 5 mil HUD boots and gloves, like usually takes a lot of guys to like a couple of days to get used to that, but he didn't seem to phase him. He was just like straight in there, and yeah, for sure, one of the best I've seen come around out of like to get just be able to surf every wave. There's all the guys that are like the biggest hellmen, like Lowy and like Russ Björk and all those boys that come and get like crazy ones and Molly and all that. But yeah, it's pretty sick to see when they all come over.
Yeah,
I had
Nathan.
one.
Oh, God. Yeah, Nathan's like he's kind of said that he prides himself on being able to do that as well, like turn up and read lineups quicker than I think he said it is like one of his strengths is he reads lineups quicker than anyone and stuff. But yeah, like that's sick. I mean, we've all seen the clips, and I expected you to say that, but Russ
I'd
Björk,
like to.
yeah,
I'd like to know what John could do because like when they were younger, and this is nothing on Nathan because I don't think he cares if anyone says this anyway because he's now like most popular surfer in the world. But John, not necessarily blew him away, but you'd have to think. Imagine what it'd be like when he had a crack at that place as well.
That's what like we were surfing the cliffs like Aileen's down one day, and like Nathan had like the craziest wave ever. And after the surf, like we were like, "Oh, that was a sick one, whatever." And he was like, "Well, like it would be." He first of all said it's like would be John's favorite wave to come surf. He really wants to come surf it, and he was like, what he would do out at the cliffs would be like mind boggling. He'd be like on like a way smaller board than everybody, taking off under the lip and just like getting the craziest ones. So like Nathan for sure knows. He said it himself that there's a couple of waves here that if John came to would be everyone would be pretty blown away by it, I'd say.
Yeah, obviously you saw the waves, those couple of waves he got out to see the big left in Hawaii, which
Yeah,
which don't look real. So
yeah,
is that the cliffs that's down there, La Hinch, you mean?
yeah. The cliffs of Moher down there, the big right hander, that's down there.
Oh, I thought you meant the left around the other side, which is hectic. But yeah, the
Uh,
right.
Oh no, yeah, I'm talking about the right. Yeah, Eileen's the big right, and then
Yeah,
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 you have Riley's over the other side. So he'd be pretty nuts out there as well, I'd say.
yeah. And how far is that south from where you are then?
uh,
Three or
like
4 hours or something.
like 2.5,
Okay.
2:45. Yeah, so it's not too bad. Like you do a day trip down there easy for some waves.
Do you mind like minds what's the word? Mind trip yourself sometimes and think, imagine if this place was board shorts? Or do you know there'd just be too many people?
We always say that we're like, oh, imagine this was boardies, but like there's a couple of ways that there's no chance I'd surf it if it was in boardies. Like you'd
Oh,
just be
right.
like, especially like somewhere like Riley's. Like if that was in boardies, you would never be coming out of it with skin. Like your body'd be ripped to bits. Like it's so shallow and just it's not like coral, but it's like just covered in shells. So like if you fall, you're just getting ripped along the reef. Like it's pretty hectic and yeah, I love wetsuits. I feel way more comfortable in wetsuits. So yeah, it's like wearing some body armor.
me too, 100%. Even in like warm countries, in a thin wetsuit, I feel more like held in and comfortable. So
Yeah, I'm scared in 3 foot 3 foot waves in the men's. I'm like shitting it. It's pretty bad. Don't want to hit the reef.
you have to get some sort of like technology where you could wear a wetty, but it'll keep you cool. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
what about the future then? So what's coming up like for the rest of this year and like that we can know about that other than your surprise entry into Snapped 5. Yeah.
We can try our best. I don't know. We'll see about that. But yeah. So the rest of my year now is I'm trying to plan a couple of trips for the summer. It's kind of hard trying to figure out where to go. Like you can go to Indo, you can go all these different places, but I've been Indo a few times, and I want to kind of do something new, go somewhere I haven't been. So trying to figure that out. Want to do one or two trips, and maybe do one or two trips with some of my friends I haven't done some trips with in a while. So that's kind of the plan for the summer, to just try and travel and get waves and maybe chase a couple of swells about the place. And then I'm kind of gonna start working on putting together a movie from this last winter. We've had so many good days, and yeah, I have so many clips, and I've kind of been saving them, trying to figure out what to do with them. And I had a plan of making a bunch of shorter edits this winter, like just from sessions like that, like one Molly session or one session at Riley's or whatever. But just a couple of things didn't play into the way of it. So just gonna make a like kind of a longer length movie of all the winter here, and then hopefully starting into next year, the whole thing of the winter will be like the more kind of single sessions or like days of making clips of just like a day surfing. And it's kind of the way everything's going now. It's kind of what you need to be doing, putting out more constant content and clips and showing what's going on in the day to day of going surfing every day. So that's kind of the plans for for this summer and next winter. And yeah, probably might do a couple of contests then throughout the summer. If I'm around Europe, I'm gonna do one or two contests. So we'll see how that goes.
We're kind of board geeks with Matthew, and the first thing I was wanted to ask you before, well, you know, because I came from a board factory, was like, so that when you're paddling Mullimore, what size board are you surfing?
Surfing around like between like 8.0 and 8.6, depending on the size of day. Like the smaller day, like the smaller side of Molly, you're kind of riding an 8.0. Just
Like
because
what sort of width?
like 8.0 by like 20 by like 3.25 or something, kind of like that.
And like thruster or quad?
I only ride thrusters. Like a lot of the lads ride quads. I've never got into them. I don't know why, I just never really liked them. I just prefer the feeling of a thruster. Just the way you can like kind of pivot. Obviously different surfing Molly, but like just in general surfing, the way you can like pivot on a thruster where you can't really pivot on a quad, like very directional. Like you have to like draw your lines out a bit more. But yeah, I'll always ride a thruster out at Molly, and yeah, you kind of want something at Molly that can paddle really fast. You need it to be able to get into the wave, but then after that, you want something that's not too long and too big that gets stuck on all the boils and all the steps that are in the wave. Because I rode a couple of boards that I rode an 8.8 this year, and it just felt a little bit too big. It got stuck on like some steps and boils and just like lifted me up, and I couldn't like get the board to come back down because it was just a bit big. It didn't really fit in how slabby it gets and how flat the bottom is. So it's a pretty fine line of having the right board for Molly. Because yeah, you need something that paddles, but you also need something a bit maneuverable because you move quite a lot in the barrel at Molly. So it's different to a lot of other ways.
Then there's that other hell left, which is just looks like the offshore's just horrendous, and the drops quite horrendous. What would you surf out there? That looks like obviously on shorter boards, but how short or how long?
So yeah, I ride like a 6.2 all the time. 6.2 to 6.4 max. It's kind of like, yeah, you want to be under it. Like you want a bit of paddle power to be able to get under it, but then because it's so slabby, you don't want anything too long that you're gonna like nose dive or something. Like a lot of time you're airdropping and stuff into them, so you kind of want something small and maneuverable to be able to do that. So I find 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" is kind of like the magic number for me. And
Do you
this
go thick? Do you go thick for them, considering you got so much rubber, or what?
uh go a bit thicker, not like super thick. I've been working a bit with Christian on a couple of them this last year and two, and yeah, the 2 6'2s I have right now from Christian are pretty amazing. Like I've surfed them in whatever, like 8 foot at that slab, and they paddle super good. You're able to get underneath it, and then they move real good in the barrel, like get your speed going. So yeah, been they're definitely good.
Jeremy won a pipe masters on Christian's boards. That was the other thing I wanted to ask, because I know he's shaped for like so many pros. It's not funny, Kelly included, and a lot of the feedback I often used to get from people that didn't ride his board so much that they were maybe a little bit sticky or drivey, but that's exactly most probably what you're looking for, isn't it?
Like I've started riding like Bradley's this last kind of 2 years, and I find them amazing. Like the short boards are amazing. Everything's been super good, and Christian's super easy and a legend to work with. But
And funny.
yeah, he's definitely a funny guy for sure. But yeah, the step ups that we've got going, mental good. Like the boards, they go crazy good in the barrel, and it's even like I've struggled with a couple of boards before of being really good at paddling and really good in the barrel, but like when you come out, you can't do turns on them. They just like want to go straight. Whereas that's the one thing with all these step ups I've had from Christian. Like they paddle good, they go real good in the barrel, but then you can come out and like fully rip on them too. Like my 6'2s, everything. They just feel like they just have real good hold, true turns, and just like kind of surf like a shortboard on a bigger wave, but like you still can paddle and they go real good in the barrel, which is kind of what I like. I don't really like changing things. A lot of people will have completely different style of boards for their like bigger boards, whereas I like to be able to have that same kind of feeling the whole way up through them, just more paddle and more drive through those step ups, and it seems to be what Christian has working with the sends.
And you got a 20 off him recently that I saw that you were shrouting on.
That one was actually I borrowed that off my friend who lives next door to me. He ordered one off him a
Yeah.
couple months ago, and I was over in the factory and I was talking to Christian about it, and I was like, oh, I really want to get a 20, and he was like, oh yeah, sweet, we'll get one made, and I just tried that one to get the size based off it, and it
All
was
right.
super fun, and literally Belly is just landed in Ireland this morning.
Yeah, I know. I sent him a message yesterday.
So he's driving up here tomorrow. So my 20 will be arriving tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sick.
So pretty excited to
That's in
try
case,
something different.
unless Belly's got 36 rounds of holes of golf to play, then you might not see it for a couple of days.
He's playing golf everywhere on the way up. He's playing
I know it is.
he's playing La Hinge tomorrow, and then he's coming up here, and then I'm gonna try and see if I can get my golf game back and play with him on Wednesday.
He'll hustle you
Hey,
for sure.
hey, so if you're on a 6'2" for a step up, then just so our uninitiated viewers can understand, what would be your like standard, let's just say beach break 4 foot size board?
So my standard shortboard is 5'10", like 18 and a half, like 26 liters. That's kind of what I ride like pretty much every day. The one model from Christian, and I just find it like a super good all round board. Like anything from 2 to 6 foot, it kind of works super good. And then yeah, so my 6'2" is like 6'2", 18, 5'8", like 2.5 or something, and it's like 28 and a half liters, I think. So like it's got an extra 2 and a bit liters, and yeah, kind of got that paddle power.
Have you got an Onya yet?
Yeah, so I ride the Anya in like if it was like 1 to 3 foot beach breaks, like 1 to 4 foot beach breaks, kind of like super good beach break board, I find.
Do you know I drew the logo for that and named it for him.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, legitimately, like sent him the photo of it of the two beers and said, just call it an Onya. And
That's
then
pretty sick.
2 days later, he had it all set up and was like, I'm using it. And I was like, all right. He's a sick.
So,
Yeah.
so here's one for you. If you, like you said before, you were struggling to think about going on a surf trip somewhere, and I was speaking to Gabe Davies. We've actually had a little bit of a run of Irish themes because I spoke with Gabe Davies. We also spoke with Noah. Now, are you looking to go, as you were saying, more on a cultural or something different? Because you've definitely got your feel at home. So is there any wave that you're just dead set you'd love to surf? Like for me, it's J Bay, for example.
Like the one place I would love to go is Fiji, like especially like seeing Cloudbreak on that last big swell they had a couple of weeks ago would have been
Yeah.
like that would be a pretty dream trip. But yeah, that's an expensive one, so
Yeah,
don't know don't know if that'll be happening this year or not. But yeah, I kind of want to do some trips to just I want to score. Like it's not to go on a cultural trip or anything like that. I want to go score as good a way as I possibly can this summer. But yeah, it's trying to just figure out where it's going to be and where it's going to be good. Like maybe he's thinking of like Chile and a couple of places like that. So there's some places like that, or Mexico maybe could be on the cards. So I don't know. We'll see how things go.
A friend of mine went to Peru, and that sounds like it's kind of no. I think it was Chile too, up your alley with all those lefts. And this one of my best mates from Sunshine Coast, from who I grew up with, he was at that last Fiji swell.
No,
Yeah. And when I was back there, I had dinner with him, like, and he was like, oh, he wants to go up to where you guys were. So hopefully, like this winter, he might. I'll give him your number. He's a
yeah,
good person. He's a good person to know too, I tell you.
oh yeah, sick. Tell him to hit me up for sure. We can bring him out here and show him where to go.
And I want to know about because can we just chat about Skeleton Bay a little bit? Because what on earth is that place like?
Yeah, Namibia it's definitely like I've been there a few times now, and I'll still go back. Like I'll 100% if there's a swell this year and the bank's good, I'll probably go back. I reckon. It's not like anything you've ever seen before. Like you drive out to Sandspit for whatever 20 minutes, half an hour, and you just rock up, and it is literally a never-ending wave. Like you don't see where the wave starts and you don't see where it ends. I don't know how to describe how long it is, but it is actually mental. Like if it's something that you can go see once in your life, it's crazy. You should definitely see it once in your life. It's cool.
Did you find that relatively, I'm not going to say easy, but that was okay because you're so used to wetsuits and you're also so used to gnarly drops?
It like the drops and stuff are hard for sure. It is like it's kind of similar water temps to home. Like it's kind of nice, like 3-2 boots, 4-3 boots. So it is a I kind of like that temperature water, but definitely the hardest surf trip you'll ever do, just because you get there at whatever 6 o'clock in the morning, you put on your wetsuit, and your wetsuit doesn't come off until 6 o'clock that evening. Like you are like covered in rashes, your legs hurt from running up the point. Like you must run like 10, 15K in a day easy, just up and down the point, and like it's it's grueling like how hard that mission is. You come home from a surf trip to Namibia completely broken. It's crazy.
Hey, we're about to run out of time, Gearoid. So thanks, man. Fuck, it was epic.
Cheers. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks so much. Can't wait to see what happens in the next year, and we'll be following you like we always have. So that was sick.
I'm gonna call Christian tomorrow and see if I can order get one of those 6.2 replicas, but in a 6.6.
Do it. 6.2 cent. That's the one.
6.2 cent. I'll get him to find the file.
Do it for sure.
Thanks a lot,
Can't
man.
wait.
Epic.
So,
Cheers, boys.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.